At the orphanage, a teacher was yelling at a little girl for crying loudly. Her assistant was asking the older teacher to calm down. After all, this poor little child has no parents. But suddenly, a very young girl ran up to them and hugged the child, who was all in tears. The senior teacher asked the girl who she was. She replied that she was Sandy's mother. But the woman started arguing with her. She said it was a shelter, and the children living there had no parents. And the girl herself was a foster child at the shelter, so she was definitely not Sandy's guardian. The girl started to argue, and the older teacher raised her hand at her. She had already covered her face with her hand when a tall man stopped the nanny's hand. This attractive stranger introduced himself as Sandy's dad and scolded the shelter staff for their misbehavior with the children. The girl thanked him for saving her, but the man, ignoring her, leaned over to Sandy and greeted her. The girl stood in front of the child and asked the young man who he really was. The man in the suit introduced himself as Christopher Wen, Sandy's father. The girl began to prove that this was her daughter, so she would not give her to anyone. It was March, and it was snowing heavily. Lily approached the shelter and saw an abandoned baby in a basket on the doorstep. She carefully picked up the small bundle of diapers. Lily took the baby to the shelter and informed the management about the foundling. The baby was a newborn, and the shelter had never had such small children before. So Lily was sent to the pharmacy to get some dry formula for the baby. From that day on, the girl took care of the baby every day. She didn't want to get attached, but that's how it turned out. It must have happened when the little one started calling her Mom. Lily said she was more like a little sister than a mom. But Sandy stubbornly called her Mommy. That's how Sandy became a special person in Lily's life. But when they wanted to adopt the girl, Sandy decided not to stand in the way of the little girl's family happiness. But the girl was returned to the shelter because she cried loudly for her mother all the time. Lily saw the bruises that the foster parents had left on the child. Then she decided that she would never let anyone take her away again. The girl hugged little Sandy, who was bruised, and not even a year old, tightly, and said that from now on she was her family. 2 years ago, Lily had made the decision to protect Sandy no matter what. So now she had to stand in the way of the new guardian. Lily overheard a conversation between the asylum management and Christopher Wen outside the director's office. It turned out that he was Sandy's uncle. His brother, the girl's father, died 3 years ago, so when he found out about the little girl, he decided to become her guardian. The director said that she would not interfere with him if he had already decided everything, but she added that she had to warn that the child had already been returned to the shelter. After these words, Christopher's assistant handed the director his boss's business card. It said that Christopher Wen was a representative of the famous cosmetics company V Cosmetics, and before that, he was also a blood relative of Sandy. The future guardians said that this should be enough to ensure that they were sure of Sandy Wen's safety. The director replied that she would prepare all the documents today. Lily remembered all the time she had spent with the girl and decided that she couldn't let them take her away. She burst into the principal's office. The girl screamed that she was Sandy's mother and would not let them take her away. A little later, when Christopher was holding the child in his arms and wanted to put her in the car, Lily prevented him from doing so. Sandy cried, pulled away from her husband, and begged for her mother. Christopher didn't know what to do. He told Lily that she wasn't old enough to be the guardian of a child. Lily shouted that she was already 20 years old. She was going to go to university and find a job to provide for her child. But the man understood that she still wouldn't have enough money to raise a small child. Lily grabbed his sleeve and begged him not to take Sandy away. Christopher remembered the women who had raised him and his brother. One by one, they had abandoned them without hesitation, and their father had then found another. The man thought that this girl would also grow up a little and abandon the child in order to find herself. To his surprise, the girl knelt in front of him and cried. Then Christopher said that if she was really ready for it, she could become a mother to Sandy by marrying him. Lily hesitated. Noticing that the girl could not answer, Christopher said that she should not get so attached to the little one if she was not ready to be with her forever. The man took the child and went to the car. Sandy started screaming and begging for her mother, and he stopped. After thinking for a moment, the young man turned to the girl, who was still on her knees. Christopher gave Lily his business card and said she could come to his office within the next 3 days and give her answer about getting married. That evening, Lily sat on her bed and looked at photos of Sandy on her phone. The photo showed the girl with her favorite toy. The girl hugged the stuffed rabbit, without which Sandy could not sleep. Then, she remembered the business card and took it out of her pocket. Lily began to think about marriage. Meanwhile, Christopher brought the little girl home and asked his assistant to bathe the little one in a warm bath. As the man headed up the stairs to his room on the second floor, his assistant asked if he was sure he was okay after learning of his brother's death. Now Christopher, who had been involved in sports all his life, had to worry about his parents' cosmetics company. He told his assistant that he would not change his mind. The assistant asked what he planned to do with the girl. Christopher replied that he would marry her if she would come to his office. The man added that he could divorce her if he didn't like something. After all, that's what his father always did. The assistant said that his father loved his children. Christopher agreed with him, but added that he had had too many mothers. So the man changed his mind and said that he would not marry anyone. Suddenly, they heard a terribly loud cry from the baby in the bathroom. The assistant said that as soon as she put the baby in the water, she started crying loudly. Christopher dismissed the assistant, adding that he would bathe the girl himself. He told Sandy that she needed to wash up and have dinner, and her mother would be coming to see them in 2 days. The girl was delighted and agreed to bathe. Christopher remembered how moms had liked him as a child, and even now he did not suffer from a lack of female attention. So Sandy seemed very sweet to him, although he understood that she was a rather difficult child. And then, a few minutes later, she was crying again in the apartment. Sitting in his office, Christopher Wen couldn't concentrate on his work because he had a headache from the constant crying of his baby since yesterday. His assistant told him that someone had come to see him. Lily entered the office of the director of VA Cosmetics and told him that she agreed to marry him. Christopher, in fact, did not think that she would come. He reminded the girl of the responsibility of officially getting married and raising a child. Lily said she understood everything and would try her best. Then Christopher said that from the moment they got married, love and feelings would be forbidden. And, like Sandy's mother, she should be his true wife. Lily said she was ready for it. She added that she would do all the housework and take good care of her Sandy. The man asked if she would agree to share a bed with him, like a real couple does. But the girl hadn't thought about it before and didn't know what to say. She reminded her husband that he had said that love would be forbidden, and Christopher replied that it could be done without love. The girl said she needed to go to the bathroom for a moment. Christopher Wen thought she was scared of adulthood and ran away. Lily stood in front of the mirror in the dressing room. She thought about what the man had said. The girl thought that she would be sharing a room with Sandy, not with this man. She thought maybe he was just intimidating her. Suddenly, Lily heard a conversation between 2 girls working in Christopher Wen's office. One girl told another that their boss was so handsome that all the women in the office were trying to impress him, and the other said that they should try too. At this time, the assistant told Christopher that the company's U.S. branch wanted him to come there on his own. The man added that it was not worth sending CEO Zach Wen there. Christopher asked his assistant, John, why he disliked him so much and was always wary of Zach. John replied that he didn't, but Zach had someone behind his back. The director replied that he knew perfectly well who was behind Zach Wen. It was his mother and Christopher Wen's aunt, Patricia Wen. Chris added that he also knows how influential she is in the company, and that this is the perfect chance for Zach to take over as CEO after he leaves for the U.S. The assistant asked him why he was thinking so long. Christopher replied that it was because of Sandy. Suddenly, Lily knocked on their office door. The director asked what she wanted, since they had already discussed everything. The girl was about to tell him that she agreed to all his conditions, when suddenly Chris got a call. Kara's assistant informed him that Sandy had been taken away by ambulance. Lily demanded that the man tell her what had happened to her little girl. When they arrived at the hospital, Lily held Sandy tightly. The doctor asked if she was the caregiver, and the girl said yes, surprising Christopher. The doctor told them that the girl had had a respiratory arrest. This happens to children because they cry so hard that they can't stop. But now Sandy is fine and sleeping. Chris asked the doctor when they could pick her up. The doctor said they could take her home when she woke up. When the doctor left, Lily rushed back to Sandy. She cried and blamed herself for leaving her. Sandy heard a familiar voice and woke up. The girl hugged Lily, calling her mom. Lily apologized to the little one and said that she had not been there, adding that now she would always be with her and protect her for the rest of her life. Chris believed her at that moment. At dinner, Sandy ate everything Lily offered her with great pleasure. Christopher wondered, the first time he had seen such a good appetite in a child. The next day at the V Cosmetics office, a woman asked the campaign chairman how things were going at their U.S. branch. Zach Wen replied that he seemed to have found Chris's weak spot. The company's CEO and part-time mom, Patricia Wen, reminded her son that he was the director of the committee because of her. Patricia asked her son what he had done to get the company back on track. The woman was angry because sales were falling. Under the leadership of the company's first director and founder, Dean Ven, Chris's older brother, their cosmetics were very popular. The woman scolded her son because some of the positions that Zach was responsible for were no longer in demand. Zach apologized, but his mother said that wasn't what she needed. She expected him to solve this problem. The boy didn't know what to do, and his mother said he was just like his father. Zach clenched his fists in anger. Seeing the company's model Simone Richards on the set, Patricia reminded her son that Dean valued her not only as a woman, but also as a good employee. Zach congratulated Christopher on his appointment as head of the U.S. department. Chris thanked his cousin for the congratulations. Patricia told Chris that she was worried about how he would grow up. After all, before he only fought because he was a boxer, and now he has become a good director. Chris clenched his fists, but thanked his aunt for her concern. When they had walked away a little, Assistant John told Christopher that even after he was approved for this position, he still couldn't calm down when he looked at his relatives. Chris replied that there was one more thing to take care of before we left. John asked if he was talking about marrying that girl. The man reminded the assistant that there was nothing he couldn't do. But John asked Christopher if he thought she was strange. Chris thought for a moment and replied that he was right, because all the mothers who had been with him and his brother had no difficulty in abandoning them and leaving forever. And the way Lily cared for Sandy made him believe her. John assumed that this girl, having learned about the company, wanted to take possession of his property. The assistant added that Sandy might have a hard time in America at first, but she would get used to it. Chris replied that he had everything figured out and asked them to book 3 plane tickets. When the housekeeper met Christopher at home, he immediately asked her where Lily was. Kara replied that she was helping her with the housework. The man asked her to come to his office. When Lily heard this, she was afraid that he was calling her for the very thing they had been talking about. But when she entered the office, Christopher asked her to sit across from him. He handed her 2 plane tickets and told her he was being transferred to the United States. The man admitted that he initially wanted to go there with Sandy, but after seeing their connection, he realized that it would be better this way. Chris asked Lily if she would leave the city for them. The girl thought about it because she had just entered the university she had dreamed of going to for so long. But Sandy was more important to her than anything. Christopher, without waiting for her answer, proposed marriage to her. Lily immediately agreed and said that she would be a good mother and wife. But Chris added that after the wedding, he would need to go to America for a while himself. He asked the girl to be the best mother for Sandy. The next day, the 3 of them went for a walk around the city. First, the bride and groom completed the documents necessary for marriage. Then, Christopher offered to buy Sandy a lot of nice things. The girl saw a very pretty pink dress in the store. Chris bought it, and she immediately went for a walk in the new dress. As they walked further, Sandy pointed to a mannequin in a pink dress and said that Mom should wear pink too. Seeing the price tag on the dress, Lily said she didn't need it. Christopher insisted that she at least try on the dress. When the girl asked Sandy what she looked like, the little girl said that her mother was a princess. Chris couldn't take his eyes off Lily. The girl saw the mannequin in a pink suit and said that Dad should be in pink too. The man couldn't believe that Sandy had called him Daddy. He hugged the girl and said that he would definitely buy himself a suit like their dress. They happily walked around the city, wearing the same color clothes, like a real family. A girl on the street noticed them and recognized Sandy. She wondered why she was here and not at the shelter. A few days later, Christopher said goodbye to Sandy. The girl cried in his arms and didn't want her father to go. He promised to come back soon with gifts. The man asked Lily to walk with him. Chris opened the door to the room and showed the girl her dressing room. There were many new things in the latest fashion. He said that these things should be enough for her for a while. On the makeup table were many cosmetics made by their company. Christopher also handed the girl a bank card and told her she could use it, but Lily said that was too much. The man said that as Sandy's mother, she shouldn't need anything. After these words, Lily agreed to take the card and promised to do her best for the little one. Then Christopher took out a box with a wedding ring from his pocket and said that this was the most important thing. He put the ring on Lily's finger and hoped that she would like it. The girl replied that it was very beautiful. She said goodbye to her husband and said that she would wait for his return, because now they were one family. 5 years later, Sandy met her father at the airport. She was happy that he was back home and would never go to America again. Because Sandy often flew with her dad to the US, they became very close. When they were far apart, they would communicate every day via video call. But Lily was busy all the time, so she didn't see Christopher. Sandy told her dad that she hadn't told her mom that he was coming back. The girl said it would be a huge surprise for her mother. Chris remembered Lily's smile and asked his daughter if she thought her mother would be happy to see him back. At this time, Lily was reporting to her boss, Zach Wen, that she had scheduled his meetings for this week and made a hotel reservation for tomorrow. Zach praised the secretary for highlighting important meetings that couldn't be missed. The boss once again invited Lily to have dinner with him. The girl replied that she already had a meeting scheduled. Then Zach asked Lily if her husband was still on a business trip. The secretary said yes and went to work. At first, Zach was upset that she didn't agree today either. But then he decided that he shouldn't just leave her alone, because the girl was very attractive. Lily returned to her desk. She had just sat down at her computer, sighing that she had barely managed to avoid dinner with her boss, when there was a knock on the reception door. When the man entered the office, the girl jumped in surprise. It was Christopher, whom she had not seen for 5 years. He looked at Lily and went over to Zach to say hello. They sat down on the sofas opposite each other, and Zach asked his secretary to make them tea. The girl went out the door and couldn't believe he was back. She didn't understand if Chris didn't recognize her or if he was pretending because they were in the company office. Christopher looked at the door, and his cousin Zach said he looked as if he saw something beautiful there. The man replied that he did. Lily had changed a lot in those 5 years, from a girl to a real lady. That's why Chris didn't recognize her right away. He asked his cousin how old his secretary was. He replied that she was 25 years old and extremely beautiful. Christopher began to demand that Zach tell him her name. Zach said that his secretary's name was Lily Blank, but asked Chris not to show any interest in her anymore because he liked her. Christopher smiled and asked Zach if the girl knew that he liked her. Zach replied that she did, and he hoped that they would become even closer soon. Chris smiled, but in reality, he was angry because he didn't understand how his wife could work for his cousin. Another secretary had already brought tea to their office, and Zach was very upset. Lily had already gone home because her workday was over. When Lily entered the house, Sandy greeted her with the happy news that she had a surprise. Christopher asked the maid to set the table. Lily looked at Chris and wondered if they could live as a family now after such a long separation. Chris looked at her and compared her to the girl she had been 5 years ago. A grown lady, not a girl, greeted her husband, and Sandy asked her mother why she said good afternoon to her father instead of hello, sweetheart. The girl also added that parents should kiss. Lily asked Sandy what gifts her dad had brought her, and she ran to show them. Actress Simone Richards had dinner with Zach Wen at a restaurant and signed autographs for anyone who recognized her at the restaurant. The girl asked why a busy man like him would invite her to dinner. Zach admitted that there was one girl who kept turning him down on dates. Simone understood what he was talking about and asked what the age difference was between them. The man replied that it didn't matter when there was love between two people. Then the girl asked why he was so sure that she loved him. Zach replied that Lily would love him soon. She just had family problems. After all, she is raising her daughter alone. The girl was born when she was 17, so she is 9 years old now. Lily also says that she has a husband, but it seems to me that this is not so, added Zach. After listening to her friend, Simone asked what he would achieve. The man replied that he wanted to be. Simone became curious to look at this girl, whom he liked so much. But the actress was offended that her friend had invited her to dinner instead of another one, so she was about to leave. Zach told her not to rush because he had good news for her. Christopher is back, he added. noticing how happy Simone was. The man asked if she still had feelings for him. The girl replied that it was none of his business. Then Zach said that he had dinner planned with Christopher tomorrow, to which he would invite his secretary, Lily. Simone said that she would think about his invitation. After dinner, Chris asked Lily to come into his office. The girl stood in front of the door, worried. Then, having calmed down a bit, she entered. Lily sat down on the couch opposite Christopher and asked what he wanted to talk to her about. He said that she had changed a lot in that time. The girl replied that it had been 5 years and he was still the same. Lily called Chris an amazing man, and he was pleased with that. But remembering Zach, Christopher decided to ask the girl why she worked for him. Lily replied that at that moment, the office needed a secretary. Her husband didn't understand why she had to work, since he gave her enough money to support them and the child. Chris asked Lily if she knew that she and Zach were related. The girl replied that she knew because she was told about it when she got the job. Then Christopher reminded her that he had asked her to be a good mother. And now that she's working, she's spending time with someone other than her mother. The man also said she should quit her job. Lily screamed that she couldn't do it because she had a contract, and even when it ended, she would still be working, albeit at a different job. Christopher asked her why she did it. The girl replied that she wanted to be a good mother to Sandy, but she assured him that her job had never prevented her from being a mother. Lily added that she also wanted to be responsible for the child, which was why she worked, and Sandy always came first for her. Her husband believed her words. The girl was about to leave when Chris stopped her and asked where her wedding ring was. She replied that it was on her makeup table. Christopher showed his hand with the wedding ring. He said he never took it off, so there was even a tan mark on his finger. Christopher added that in those 5 years, he had never forgotten that he was married. The man asked Lily to wear her engagement ring, even if she didn't have feelings for him, because Sandy might notice. In fact, the girl didn't wear it because she was afraid of losing it. The next morning, sitting in Christopher's car, Lily asked her husband not to tell anyone at the office that they were together. Chris asked why she wanted that. The girl explained that she got the job herself and works hard, so she doesn't want to be prejudiced against or gossiped about. Then Christopher replied that he would do whatever she asked, but he added that he also had a request for her. Chris remembered Zach's words about how he liked her. The man decided that she would no longer be around him and told Lily that he didn't mind her working, but not in Zach Wen's department. So there would be a staff move in the office soon. Lily thought that it didn't matter where she would work, as long as she kept her job, so she agreed. Zach, seeing the document about his secretary's transfer, was furious. He realized that Chris had ignored his warning. Lily knocked on his door and, entering his office, told him everything she had done on his orders that day. Zach asked the girl if she knew she was being transferred to another department. Lily replied that she had heard about it. Then the boss suggested that she would like to be the director's secretary. Seeing the girl's surprise, Zach asked her why she knew about the move, but didn't know where exactly. Lily said she didn't have time to read the announcement carefully. The girl realized that this was the staff relocation that Christopher had told her about. She wasn't worried about the job, but she didn't want to work with her husband. Lily thought that maybe Christopher did this on purpose to make her uncomfortable and get her out of this job faster. Her boss, Zach Wen, offered to throw Lily a farewell dinner. The girl agreed, deciding that she would never see him again. Noticing the engagement ring on the secretary's hand, Zach asked what she had on. Lily replied that it was a wedding ring and said that her husband had returned from a business trip. Christopher received a message from Zach with the dinner location and time. Upon entering the restaurant, Chris saw him at a table with a girl. Zach thanked Lily for a job well done and took her hand to kiss. Christopher stood in front of them and asked if he was late. Seeing Lily's surprised face, Zach explained to her that he had scheduled a meeting with the director for that same time. Chris asked Zach why they were having dinner together. He said that he had decided to throw a last dinner for his secretary. Lily was indignant that this was not the case, because the other secretary was also supposed to come. Zach apologized to the girl that they didn't know Director Christopher. The girl wanted to leave, but Chris asked them to stay and have dinner with them. Chris sat down next to Lily and said that this dinner meant both separation and reunion. The girl felt very awkward between the two men. When actress Simone Richards approached their table, Lily thought about how beautiful she was. The girl's appearance seemed perfect to her. Simone leaned over Christopher and asked why he hadn't told her he was back. Chris greeted her coldly and added, "Long time no see." Then the girl greeted Zach, who asked what she was doing here. Simone replied that she had a meeting at this restaurant, but she came over when she saw them. Lily was very surprised when the famous actress greeted her by name. The girl asked if Simone knew her. Simone said she had heard a lot about Zach's secretary. She said he called her beautiful and a hard worker, so she was interested in meeting her. Lily thanked the girl for her kind words, and Simone asked her for a favor. She said that she was very uncomfortable, but Lily had to change seats. The actress wanted to sit next to Christopher, while Lily was supposed to sit next to Zach Wen, her former boss. The girl didn't know what to do. Although Lily hadn't expected to see her husband here, she didn't want to sit down with Zach either. Christopher irritably told Simone to take the vacant seat. Lily was so embarrassed by the whole situation that she went to the bathroom. After washing her face, she came out of the bathroom and Zach was waiting for her there. He told her that they should go and leave Christopher and Simone alone. Lily didn't understand what was happening, but she didn't want to go, especially not without Christopher. Zach offered the girl a ride home. At that moment, Chris approached them and said that he would go with Lily, because she was now his personal secretary. The girl said that everything was fine and she would get home on her own. But her new boss replied that they still had something to discuss about work. Then Lily agreed, and Chris asked Zach to take care of Simone. Zach clenched his fists, realizing that his cousin really had feelings for this girl he liked so much. Simone approached Zach and asked why Christopher had left so quickly. The man replied that it was getting more interesting because things didn't go as they had planned. While already in the car, Zach called and asked his man to investigate Lily Blank. He wanted to know everything, where she lived, who her husband was, her child, and other details. On the way home, Chris asked Lily if she was surprised to see him at the restaurant. The girl replied that she didn't expect to see him there. Lily began to explain to her husband that it was a farewell dinner, at which another secretary was supposed to be present, but she did not come at the last moment. Christopher smiled and said he understood everything, and her panic amused him. By the time they got there, the girl had fallen asleep, so Chris had to carry her to bed. Waking up in Christopher's room, Lily was scared that something was going on between them. She looked at the sleeping man and thought he was very handsome. Lily wanted to leave quietly, but her husband woke up and said that they had to do something they hadn't done yesterday. The girl asked what exactly, but Chris didn't answer specifically. Then the mutt said that it was time for them to get ready for work, so they would have to postpone everything until later. Christopher liked it when Lily looked confused. The girl thanked her husband for giving her a ride to work and was about to leave. Chris asked Lily where her engagement ring was, and she took it out of her pocket. Christopher put the ring on her finger and asked her to never take it off, no matter what. Lily agreed and decided that she would be his real wife. Simone Richards was at home drinking wine and reminiscing about last night. When she and Chris were alone, she confessed that she missed him, and the man replied that he was tired from today and went home. The girl did not understand what was happening. He had been cold to her before, but something had changed. The actress realized that it was this girl Lily. She decided that she had to do something about it. She and Zach already had a plan, but it didn't work. Meanwhile, Lily took the elevator to her new floor and greeted John, Christopher's assistant. He asked where her husband was. The girl replied that he was still downstairs. John asked her to wait for him with him so that they could go into the office together. The assistant said that he was worried whether she would be in time. He added that Lily had taken on too many responsibilities, but judging by her recommendations, she would be able to handle it. The girl promised to work even harder. Christopher sat in his office and smiled, remembering the look on the girl's face when he said they had done something interesting that night. He decided not to tell her that nothing had happened because he liked teasing her. Lily knocked on his door and brought his schedule for the week. The girl told the director that she would make him an Americano, and if he had other preferences, he should tell her about it, and starting tomorrow, she would be able to make coffee with syrup. The director indignantly asked the secretary if she always worked like this. Lily asked the boss what she had done wrong. Christopher said that she was praised so much, and she behaved like this. First, he would make his own coffee, and second, she chatted nonstop. And third, you need to say everything clearly and to the point. The director added that he should give instructions to her, not her to him, and she should also listen to his instructions to the end. Lily said she understood everything, but as she left her new boss's office, she cried. She remembered how kind he used to be, and now he seemed to have turned to ice. The girl thought that maybe Christopher was doing this on purpose so that she would be free. After calming down a bit, Lily decided to look for another job. She opened a job site to submit her resume to other companies. At that moment, Patricia Wen entered the reception area and asked if the director, Christopher Wen, was there. Secretary Mia asked her boss, Zach Wen, why he was so upset. Was it because of Secretary Lily's absence? Zach replied that he was. Then Mia asked how their farewell dinner went. Checking the documents that the secretary had brought him, Zach replied that he had met a friend, so they had to go their separate ways. Then the man thanked the girl for fulfilling his request yesterday. Mia replied that it was no problem for her and smiled. Leaving the office, Mia sat down at the computer and angrily remembered that Zach had asked her not to come to dinner in exchange for good recommendations. The girl was irritated and didn't know what to do because there was little time left before the contract was signed. Her husband kept calling her, but she hung up again. Aunt Patricia asked her nephew Christopher why he didn't stop by to say hello as soon as he got back from the States. Christopher replied that he had been very busy since his return. There was a lot of work that had to be done. Lily made coffee and listened to their conversation. Patricia Wen said she had heard about his success in the U.S. She recalled again how she had been worried about him, because before, all he had done was wave his fists. Lily was surprised to hear this. She wondered what fist-waving meant. She handed over the coffee and was about to go to her seat, but Patricia stopped her. The woman recognized the girl as her son's secretary and asked why she was working there now. Christopher replied that Lily was there temporarily, and now he needed her. Over coffee, Patricia told Christopher that, no matter how successful he was in the States, he would now have to do a good job at the head office to prove his value to the firm. The director reassured his aunt that he would definitely cope and live up to her expectations. As she left the office, the woman looked at John in such a way that Lily wondered what had happened between them. Simone was still looking out of her skyscraper window, drinking wine, when her sister came over to remind her that next week was the anniversary of their parents' deaths. The girl replied to her sister that she didn't care and that she was filming, so Sarah could do whatever she wanted with it. Then Sarah asked if Simone remembered her daughter's birthday. Simone knew that Sandy's birthday was coming up, but she got angry with her sister and told her that she had never given birth to a child. Christopher asked his assistant where Lily was. John replied that she had gone to say goodbye to her former colleague. Hearing this, Chris became nervous for some reason. He glanced at Sandy's photo on her desktop and happened to notice that she had a job search site open on her computer. Chris was upset to realize that Lily wanted to quit. Zach Wen was wondering what was really going on between Chris and Lily, whether they had feelings for each other, when his mother, Patricia Wen, burst into his office without warning. She asked him to make her some tea and asked her son if he had met with Christopher on business. Zach replied that they had already discussed his Project City. Then Patricia got angry at her son and shouted, asking what he had been doing for the past 5 years. He replied that he had been working on a line of shades. The woman said that everything was stuck at the same level and not moving forward. The mother asked Zach if he was ashamed to lose to someone who had previously only waved his fists. She added that the board of directors' trust in Christopher is growing every day, and her son is sitting in this position for no reason. Therefore, if he does nothing, he will have to be fired. When his mother left, Zach thought she was right, and it was time for him to act. He dialed the number of the head of the pallet project and asked him to hurry up. A man in a black cap and black mask was following his daughter Lily on the playground. He was about to approach the girl when suddenly Christopher called her name. Sandy was so happy to see her dad that she quickly ran to him and fell down. Chris calmed her daughter down and carried her to the car. The masked man was surprised that Christopher was the dad. At home, Dad treated Sandy's wounds on her knees with ointment. When Lily came home from work, the girl told her mother what had happened. The mother stroked her daughter and asked if she was so happy that her father had picked her up today. Sandy said, "Yes." Then the girl asked why they were sleeping in different rooms. Lily and Christopher didn't know what to say. Sandy said she had heard from friends about adults sleeping in different rooms and then getting separated. Lily said she didn't have to worry because they weren't going to get divorced. She was just little, so her mother slept in the room with her. Then Sandy firmly told her parents that she was an adult and could sleep in the same room. After finishing her schoolwork, she told her mother that it was time for her to go to her father's house. When Lily entered this room she shared with her husband, she immediately lay down on the empty bed and quickly fell asleep. She dreamed that Chris was lying next to her, admiring her. The next morning, when Christopher arrived at the office, Lily was already at her desk. The boss asked John to make a reservation at a restaurant for the evening. He added that it would be nice to congratulate Lily on her transfer to their department over dinner. The girl happily agreed to dinner. Chris and Lily were sitting at a table in the same restaurant they had been to recently. The man explained that they were here again because the dinner last time had been a failure. Chris's phone rang and he heard that John wasn't coming. The assistant said that he hadn't seen Lily in 5 years, so he wanted to leave them alone. When the girl asked what happened, Christopher replied that John would not be able to come, so the corporate meeting could be postponed to another day. Lily said she didn't mind continuing the dinner with him alone. Then Christopher asked how she had lived the last 5 years without him. The girl replied that at first it was difficult to combine motherhood and university studies, but those 4 years flew by quickly. Lily admitted that it was very difficult when Sandy was sick, because she also had to prepare for her university exams. But she managed only thanks to her daughter. When Sandy smiled, she felt happy and it gave her even more strength. Christopher wondered how hard it had been for her. After telling about herself, Lily asked Chris what he did in the U.S. The man replied that he traveled a lot on business, and the girl said that she dreams of going somewhere at least once. Christopher asked why she hadn't done it before, since she had his bank card. Lily admitted that she didn't want to travel without Sandy or leave her alone. Upon learning that the girl had never even flown on a plane, Chris said that from now on, she had the right to do whatever she wanted because she was his wife. Zach Wen received a call from a masked man who told him he had found out who Lily Blank's husband was. It was Christopher Wen, and they also had a daughter, Sandy, who was 9 years old. Zach asked if that was true and ordered the mercenary to continue his investigation. He couldn't believe that Lily and Chris were so close friends and were raising a daughter together. When Christopher, Lily, and John got out of the elevator, they saw a crowd of people in the hallway watching the fight. Secretary Mia was being beaten by her husband. He yelled that she wasn't answering his phone calls and punched her in the face. Christopher came over, stopped him by grabbing his arm, and called the police. Lily lost consciousness from what she saw. Chris, not understanding what was happening, picked her up and told his assistant that he would take her to the hospital himself. Model Simone Richards arrived at the V Cosmetics office to shoot a cosmetics commercial. She was immediately surrounded by fans, discussing how beautiful she was. The actress was very surprised to see Christopher running towards the exit, holding hands with his secretary Lily. She didn't understand what was connecting these two together at all. The girl called out to Chris, but he didn't stop. Simone noticed that Lily had lost her wallet and picked it up from the floor. She was very angry. At the hospital, Chris, as Lily's relative, was informed that no medical abnormalities were found, so the girl most likely fainted due to sudden shock. The doctor explained that this could be because the person has experienced stress or is under constant stress. But now everything is fine with her and she will be able to be discharged soon. Christopher wondered what had shocked her so much about the situation where the man had beaten the secretary. He understood that Lily had been through something terrible herself. When Chris took Lily home, Sandy was already asleep, and he had prepared a delicious dinner for his wife. The husband asked her what had happened today and why she had fainted. Lily thought about it. She thought she had forgotten everything long ago, but for some reason, what she saw today shocked her so much. Chris said she didn't have to tell him if it was difficult, but the girl said she wanted to tell him. Lily began by saying that she had been adopted from an orphanage as a child, and that her stepfather often beat her when he got drunk. Fortunately, the shelter director quickly found out about it and took her back. But today, when she saw the secretary Mia on the floor, she remembered herself in the same situation. Lily said she was fine now and apologized for making Christopher worry. The husband asked his wife not to apologize for something that was not her fault. Chris added that there was no need to pretend that everything was okay if it wasn't. He asked to always tell the truth and promised to do the same. The girl promised she would try. Then Christopher asked Lily why she was looking for a new job, and she asked if that was what he wanted. The man didn't understand her, and Lily started crying. She said that he himself wanted her to be free because he had transferred her to his place and now he was yelling at her. Chris was surprised by this assumption because he specifically made her his personal secretary so that she could continue working, but next to him. The man apologized to Lily for taking her to his office without asking her permission. The girl replied that she was wrong too and smiled. Simone remembered Chris carrying his secretary in his arms. It was the first time she had ever seen him care so much about someone. The girl took a black card out of her wallet. It was Christopher's unlimited black card, and Simone didn't understand what it was doing in his secretary Lily's wallet. She decided she needed to find out more about them. The next day, Simone Richards went to the principal's reception area, where Lily Blank worked. The girl greeted the secretary and asked if the principal was there. The actress then gave Lily her wallet, adding that she had found it in the lobby. Simone admitted that when she looked in the wallet, she saw Christopher's card there. Lily decided to tell the girl that the director had given her his card for a while she was doing his errands. The actress replied that Chris didn't trust people that easily, so it was strange that he gave his card to someone. Simone asked the secretary how long she had been working here, and Lily replied that it had been 2 years. Simone thought about the fact that Christopher had gone to America 5 years ago, and this girl had gotten a job 2 years ago, so they had only just met. Sitting on the couch in his office, Christopher asked Simone why she had decided to visit his office. The girl replied that she was driving by and decided to stop by. Lily was making tea for them and listening to their conversation when the girl started reminiscing about how much fun she and Chris had together with him and his brother Dean. Simone asked Christopher if he often thought of his brother while working in his office. She suddenly burst into tears because he had left for the States without saying goodbye to her. Christopher abruptly changed the subject and asked the girl if she knew who his brother had been in a serious relationship with. Simone turned a little pale in surprise. Lily realized that Chris was asking her about Sandy's father to find out who her biological mother was. The actress added that if he didn't know about it, she didn't care. Then the girl confessed that she had actually come because she wanted to invite him to her house for dinner. Lily hoped he wouldn't agree. Simone added that today was the anniversary of her parents' death, and they would be very happy if he came to dinner. Christopher agreed, which greatly surprised Lily. Lily couldn't sleep for a long time, imagining Chris and Simone in bed together. Sandy didn't want to fall asleep without her dad either, and her mom reassured her that he was just late at work. The sister scolded Simona for wearing a short black dress with a large neckline on her chest because it was the anniversary of their parents' death. Then Sarah asked why she had decided to help her with dinner if her conscience had woken up. And Simone asked her sister if she was going home soon. Sarah cried in front of her parents' photos and said it was their first trip together. She blamed herself for trying to convince them to go there. Simone told her sister to stop crying and go home. Suddenly, there was a knock on their door, and Christopher entered the room with a bottle of wine. The girl was so happy to see him. And then the assistant principal, John, walked into the room. He was also well acquainted with their parents. Sarah thanked John for his visit. After a while, the girl said that it was time for her to go home, and Simone was waiting for that. She invited Chris to drink wine with her, but Christopher replied that he was in his car, so he would be going home soon. The girl got angry, drank a lot of wine herself, and wanted John to go home as soon as possible. Simone got drunk very quickly and started clinging to Christopher. The man pushed her away, thinking only about the people waiting for him at home. Chris said goodbye to everyone and went home. Lily met him outside Sandy's room and told him that the girl had fallen asleep without waiting for him. Left alone with John, Simone told him about her feelings for Christopher and asked if there was something between him and his secretary Lily. John replied that the only thing he could say was that she should let go of her feelings and not interfere. But the girl said she couldn't do that. Christopher went into the kitchen to make himself something. Lily was surprised and asked why he hadn't had dinner at Simone's. The man replied that he had only stopped by to say hello to her sister and offer his condolences. Lily was glad that things were not at all as she had thought. During dinner that Chris had prepared, the girl asked her husband how long he had known Simone. Christopher replied that their parents were friends, so they had known each other since childhood. Lily said she was a little jealous of him for this actress because they were so close. Chris laughed and said she shouldn't worry because he didn't have any feelings for Simone. The next day, John told Christopher that he had set up a meeting with director Jong of T. Finical. Chris thanked him and added that they would finally meet. Assistant John reminded them that Jian was a rather dangerous person who had enough influence to cause the company to collapse. That was why they needed to invest in the company successfully. Christopher replied that he knew about it and had heard all these stories about Director Chan, but he added that he would not let anyone destroy the company that his brother had built from scratch. Lily went to the company library with a list of books about cosmetics that her boss had given her. She found all 5 books and was interested in one more book, but it was written about the behavior of a person who fell in love. She recognized herself in everything, but couldn't believe that she had fallen in love with Chris. Lily was so engrossed in her reading that she didn't notice her former boss, Zach Wen, walking up to her. He was watching the girl and smiling, admiring her. Zach remembered how, at a company outing, he had injured his leg, and Lily had bandaged it with her sweater. He had asked her if she was cold, and she had said she was fine. That day, Lily was with him until the very end, until the ambulance arrived. But after a while, when she became his secretary, Zach was sure that she was his destiny. He called Lily, and the girl got scared and dropped all her books on the floor. One book cut her leg so badly that it bled. Zach ran over to her and offered her a napkin. The man said she needed to go to the hospital. The girl said she was fine, and Zach said she always said that and smiled. Zach offered to help Lily get to her office, but she refused. Christopher, who approached them, told Zach that he was seeing his secretary off himself. Chris leaned over and asked Lily if she was okay, and she said yes. But when he saw the blood, he said he would treat her wound in his office. Zach insisted that he had to do something for Lily, but Christopher held the girl close to him and said that they would handle it themselves. Zach was very angry because everything he wanted so much was going to Chris, the CEO position, and her. He decided to come up with something to stay ahead. The director was kneeling in front of Lily, tending to her wound, and she remembered how he had done it to Sandy, and smiled. Suddenly, Zach entered their office. He apologized to the girl for what had happened. Lily replied that it was not his fault, because she had dropped the books herself. And Chris told Zach that there was no need for him to come here. The man replied that he just wanted to make sure Lily was okay. When the girl left the office, Chris and Zach sat across from each other on the couches, and Zach said that Lily got hurt because of him, and Chris did it all himself. Christopher replied that he would always take care of her because she was his person. Zach wondered why they were so close. Chris didn't answer that it was his personal secretary. Then he asked Zach if he knew that Lily had a husband, and Zach asked why he was talking about it. Zach remembered what his person who was following Lily's family had told him. He wondered why Chris was hiding the truth about their relationship. As they drove home, Christopher wondered if he should hide from the other people in the company that Lily was his wife. The girl was looking out the window and wondering what had happened between her and Zach that had made Chris so upset. Suddenly, the man asked her how her wound was. Lily replied that the wound was shallow, so it was healing quickly thanks to him treating it. Chris then asked what she thought about telling everyone about their relationship. The girl was surprised at first, but then said she didn't mind. But she was worried that Sandy would be laughed at for giving birth too early. Chris said he hadn't thought about it and suggested his wife wait and think about it, and then tell everyone about them a little later. The next day, Simone Richards came to the V Cosmetics office. She visited Zach and told him about Chris's black card in his secretary Lily's wallet. She added that the girl herself had said that he had given her away for a while, so that she could carry out his errands. Zach wondered if everything was confirmed. Simone asked why he was silent, if he knew anything. The man replied that he knew nothing, but it was obvious that there was something between them. Zach decided not to tell this inadequate actress that Christopher and Lily had been married for a long time. He said he would help her take Chris away so that Lily could be his. Simone approached Lily and greeted her. The secretary thought that she was standing in front of such a beautiful girl, as if she were from another planet. Although Chris said there was nothing between them, Lily was still jealous of him. The girl told the model that the director was not in the office at the moment, and Simone smiled and said that this time she had come to her. She remembered John's words and decided to figure everything out herself. The actress told Lily that she and Chris are much closer than they seem. She said that since childhood, there have been talks about their wedding. The girl asked why Simone was telling her this. She said she needed help because they worked together every day, so rumors about their relationship could spread. Lily replied that it had nothing to do with her. Simone then added that she and Chris have a special relationship, closer than family. The secretary tried to pretend she didn't care, but the actress could see that she didn't. The girl said she just wanted to tell Chris's personal secretary about it. Simone saw a photo of Lily with her daughter on her desk. She picked up the photo frame and asked the secretary what her daughter's name was. Lily replied that her name was Sandy, and the actress said that the girl had a very beautiful appearance, but she didn't look at all like her, so maybe she looked like her dad. Then, she unceremoniously asked what her daughter's last name was. Lily replied that she was very busy right now and had a lot of work to do. Simone said goodbye and left, thinking that her child's last name was probably her mother's, which is why the girl didn't want to admit that she was a single mother. The next day, Lily overheard her colleagues in the office bathroom talking about how their director had become even more handsome after returning from the States. One girl suggested that his future wife should be a real beauty to match him. Lily wondered if she was good enough for him. He was a very attractive man, after all. The important thing, she thought, was that they were family. In the evening, Lily told her husband that there would be a parent-teacher meeting on Thursday and suggested they go there together because last year she had gone alone. Christopher said that they would do everything together now that he was back home. Lily realized at that moment that she didn't want to give him to anyone. Chris and Lily went to meet with Director Jong. Director Jong told Christopher not to expect cooperation just because he was friends with his grandfather. Jian added that his brother Dean did an excellent job as the company's CEO and did everything he could to help it grow. He also mentioned Chris's father, calling him a womanizer. Christopher listened attentively to Director Chan and what he said next. In business, luck is important, but life is fleeting, and that makes you anxious. He added that when someone leaves this world, one must remain steadfast in order to run one's business. Chris assured Mr. Chan that he would be fine. At this time, Lily was sitting at a table in the next room with Assistant Director Jong. He was behaving tactlessly and making impudent advances towards her. The man said she had a pretty face and asked how old she was. Lily replied that they had come for a business meeting, so she asked him to be polite. The arrogant guy shouted that they were here so that her boss could borrow money from them for business, so he was the boss and she had to obey him. He added that she was still young and didn't understand anything, and handed her his business card. The man told her to call him to have some fun. Lily replied that she was tired of his harassment and needed to apologize. The man laughed and said that he had done nothing to apologize for. Then the girl showed her phone, which had a recording of their conversation, and said that she wanted to ask about their business conversation for a report, but didn't think it would be so necessary. The man started shouting insults at her indignantly, and at that moment, Christopher entered the room and hugged Lily. He asked her what the idiot had done. Chris hit this brat, but when he was lying on the floor, he said that they had evidence of his harassment, so they would decide what to do with it. As they were driving home, Lily apologized for what she had done. Christopher said that the most important thing was that she was okay and they had not lost anything. The man asked how she knew to turn on the recording of the conversation. Lily admitted that John had told her that these meetings often ended in a harassment scandal. Chris was worried that he might not make it. Lily said she could do it herself, and Christopher added that she shouldn't do that again because he was really worried. At work, Lily constantly thought about her relationship with her husband and decided that she needed to somehow show him that she liked him. After the meeting, she brought Chris a basket of sweets and told him that he needed to restore his blood sugar levels after a long meeting. After reading a book from the library with advice on love, Lily began the first stage. Give your loved one something sweet. Sweets lift your spirits, and then comes the perfect moment for the second stage. Give him a little card with a confession. Christopher read Lily's card in his office and smiled. It said, "Let's get even closer." When the girl looked into his office, he made a neutral face again, so Lily had to apply the third stage. Arouse feelings with a smile that shines like the sun. She felt that this didn't have much effect either, so she decided to use the last stage, tactile touches. Lily hugged Christopher tightly. The man asked what she was doing, but the girl let go of him and walked away sadly. But Chris grabbed her hand and hugged her again, holding Lily tightly to him. Then Christopher said she had to hear his answer before he left. He said he would come closer. Lily was glad the book had worked. Simone Richards met a man named Ben, who was following Sandy at a restaurant. She told him that Zach had allowed her to give him directions. The actress showed him a photo of Lily Blanc and asked to find out everything she could about her. The man named a price for his work and Simone agreed. When Chris and Lily returned home, Sandy said that she had been looking for their wedding photo for school, but had never found it among the photo albums. Sandy's parents explained that they didn't have any wedding photos. Dad said they had celebrated the wedding so quickly that they forgot to take any photos. The girl cried out of resentment because other children would bring pictures to school, but she wouldn't. As Chris was calming his daughter down, he had an idea. Christopher suggested that Lily take this photo right now. Sandy was relieved and happy, and Lily couldn't believe what she was hearing. Sarah Richards, Simone's sister, came to the shelter to check on Sandy. It had been 5 years since she last saw her. Sarah asked a girl if she had a friend named Sandy, but she said there were no such children here. Sarah couldn't understand how that could be. A teacher who had heard about Sandy approached her and said that the girl had been taken away by relatives a long time ago, 5 years ago. Sarah was shocked to hear this. Ben watched Lily and Sandy. He took a picture of them from a distance and thought, the mother was 25, the child was 9, and the father was Christopher Wen. Sarah didn't know whether to tell her sister that Sandy had been taken away by relatives. She knew that Simone would be angry at the mere mention of the child. She wondered who it could be. It definitely wasn't Simone, and it wasn't Dean who was dead. Only Christopher remained. Sarah almost screamed at the realization. Sandy came to the ballet and headed to the dressing room. In the hallway, Ben bumped into her, gave her a hand, and helped her up. He asked her if she was okay. The girl, seeing the scars on the man's face, asked in response if he was okay. She took a plaster from her bag and stuck it on his scar. Sandy said that he wouldn't be in pain now and ran to rehearsal. Ben smiled at her cuteness and said that he had done his job. He looked down at his hand, which held Sandy's hair. Sarah shouted to her husband that she had seen everything. She asked why he had deliberately bumped into her. The man in the black cap asked the girl if she was the girl's guardian. Sarah replied that, although she was not the guardian, the girl was in danger. Ben replied that she had seen for herself that the child was fine, and asked her to keep her distance. The girl found this very suspicious. Sarah said she would call the police if she ever saw him near the child again. Ben leaned over and told her to her face that they would never see her again. While Lily and Mia's secretary were having lunch, Zach approached them and asked if he could join them. He added that they had not been able to have dinner together last time. Lily didn't really feel like having lunch with another man, but she let her former boss join them with a friend. Zach asked Lily how she was doing in the principal's office. The girl replied that she was used to it and had learned. Suddenly, Mia said that her stomach hurt. When Mia left, Zach looked at Lily and wondered why her daughter was 9 years old, and Chris was living in Canada at the time, and why people who had never crossed paths before were raising a child together. Zach knew they were hiding something, so he asked the girl where her husband worked. She couldn't answer the question for a long time. He drew his own conclusions and added that he had seen Chris with Simone at a restaurant for lunch. Zach deliberately omitted the fact that they were with director Zhang. Lily remembered Christopher talking about the meeting, and it turns out she was with Simone. Zach said they were pretty close, more than friends even. The man added that Chris and Simone were in love, and first love is not forgotten so quickly. Lily was very upset by this, but she didn't know if it was true. At work, the girl was thinking about that. Chris said that he and Simone were just friends, but Lily didn't know who to believe anymore. Lily opened her email on her computer to send documents and saw a message in the company chat that the director was soon to marry actress Simone Richards. John, who was sitting nearby, noticed how upset the girl was by the email and decided to go to the director. The assistant told Christopher about the rumors in the company about him with the model. He added that, besides, the entire office was discussing their upcoming wedding, which could be unpleasant for his wife. Christopher promised to take action. The director asked his assistant to call his wife. Chris explained to Lily that these ridiculous rumors meant nothing, and that he and Simone were just childhood friends. He added that there could be no other feelings between them. Lily believed her husband, but asked what would happen if these rumors reached Sandy. Chris promised to resolve the issue, and Lily asked if he was sure that Simone treated him as a friend, since he was her first love. Christopher was outraged when he heard about this. He said that there was nothing of the sort between them. The man promised to sort it out so that such rumors would not arise again. When the director entered the conference room, everyone present was discussing his upcoming wedding to the model and actress, with whom he had been together for 5 years. Christopher greeted them and explained that all the rumors about the wedding had nothing to do with reality, and Simone Richards has been his friend since childhood. Lily was touched by his confession to the entire office. Meanwhile, Ben bought Sandy the most beautiful hair ornament with stars and went to the ballet school. Sandy was happy to see a man she already knew and greeted him. Ben gave the girl a piece of jewelry and thanked her for the Band-Aid. But Sandy said her mother wouldn't let her take anything from strangers. Ben thought she was a good kid and a well-behaved child. A friend called Sandy and said that she shouldn't talk to strangers, and the girl replied that he was her friend, which moved Ben. Lily called her daughter, Sandy said goodbye, and ran. Sarah approached Ben and reminded him that he had promised not to go to the girl again. The man replied that it concerned her too, because she was not related. Sarah said that she had the right to do so, and Ben said that he knew she would be here. He added that she was also keeping an eye on the girl, so it would be better for the two of them if they pretended not to know anything and calmly parted ways. At home, Ben called Zach and told him that he hadn't told Simone about Lily and Christopher's relationship, as he had asked, and added that he had seen a strange woman near their child. Zach asked who the woman was. Ben replied that he would send a photo of the woman who had been following the girl and not approaching her. Zach recognized the photo as Sarah, Simone's sister. Christopher told Lily that John would arrange for their family photo shoot. The girl couldn't believe that they would finally have family and wedding photos. Lily liked the way Chris looked behind the wheel, but she asked how long he had been driving. The man replied that he had gotten his license when he was 20. It was the first thing he wanted to do when he grew up. Chris asked if Lily had a driver's license. He was very surprised to hear that she still didn't know how to drive. The man suggested that Lily finish driving school and get her license. In return, he would give her a car. The girl refused, explaining that she was already doing well. Christopher asked if it would be easier for her to drive Sandy to class in her car. Lily thought he was right and agreed. Besides, it was a good opportunity to be alone with him, so Lily fantasized about it during lunch. Christopher asked when they would start driving lessons. The girl replied that she was ready to start any time. She asked the man who taught him to drive. Chris replied that it was his older brother, Dean. He gave his younger brother a car for Chris getting his license. The boy then asked why he needed a car if he only went to the gym. Lily saw Christopher looking sad and asked what kind of person his brother Dean was. She added that she had always been curious to know more about Sandy's biological father. Chris said that Dean was a good man and the best brother, but he added that if he had survived, he would have been the best father to Sandy. Lily thought at that moment that Chris was very lonely. She took his hand and told him that he was also the best father to Sandy. The man cheered up a little from her touch. Sitting in his office, Christopher remembered his wife's words. He took a photo of them and his brother from the desk and looked at it. Assistant John told the director that he had arranged a photo studio and a visit to a bridal shop for the following Wednesday. John was very happy that they would now have family photos. Christopher thought for a moment, and John asked what had happened. He replied that he remembered how 5 years ago Lily had refused to marry him. John said that she had changed a lot over the years, having raised a child all that time. He remembered how she had stuck by Sandy when she had a serious virus. For several days, she took care of her daughter, completely forgetting about herself. Her care was sincere, like that of a true loving mother. And so 5 years passed. Chris understood that even John knew Lily much better than he did, because he had been with her for 5 years, and they had been together for less than a month. John said that he and his wife needed to learn more about each other. He asked if Chris knew, for example, that it was Lily's birthday today. Christopher was shocked that he had never asked Lily when her birthday was. The assistant suggested that she liked flowers the most. Sandy drew her mother in a wedding dress and her father in a suit, and herself next to her in a pretty dress. Lily couldn't believe that they were going to have a photo shoot soon. The girl was thinking about how soon she would be wearing her wedding dress when Christopher entered their room with a huge bouquet of flowers and wished her a happy birthday. John and Kara also greeted her with a cake with candles. Then Chris gave her 3 solid gold ducks. He said it was like having their family in her hands. Simone came to Zach's office and indignantly asked if she could trust the person he had recommended to her. The man asked her what had happened. The girl replied that he wasn't telling her anything properly. Then Zach handed her the tablet with the photo and said that she was the one who asked him not to say anything. He knew it would hurt her deeply. The photo was of Lily and Chris. Simone understood that this meant they lived together, and Zach confirmed her assumption. The man added that at first he couldn't believe it either and asked to check everything out. Simone said she would check everything out herself and visit Chris's house. At the bridal shop, Christopher saw his beautiful wife in her wedding dress for the first time. Sandy said that Dad had fallen in love with Mom, and they smiled. At the photo shoot, the photographer took many beautiful pictures of the family, and at the end suggested that the adults kiss. They didn't want to, but Sandy insisted. The lovers kissed, and the photographer took beautiful photos. Lily couldn't believe that this was really happening to her. It seemed to her that it was all a beautiful dream. Ben met Zach at the bar and gave him the baby's hair. Now Zach could find out for sure if it was Christopher's daughter or not. He wanted Lily to be his so badly. Sandy couldn't sleep for a long time and asked her mother when the photos would be ready. Lily replied that they would have them in about a week. And the girl was delighted with today's photo shoot, because everyone was very beautiful. Chris looked into their room, and Sandy called her dad to their bed. Sandy was so happy to fall asleep between Mom and Dad. Lily looked at Chris and couldn't forget her first kiss, which happened today at the photo shoot. After such a busy day, the girl quickly fell asleep, and they were left alone with each other. Sandy even asked her parents to kiss her in her sleep. The husband and wife laughed, and Christopher told Lily that he was glad they were his family. The girl was also happy that everything turned out the way it did. In the morning, Simone went to Christopher's house. She thought that she hadn't been here for a long time, but she remembered the times when they were still schoolchildren and often played at Chris's house. Back then, no one wanted to be friends with her because she was quite sharp, and Christopher was her only real friend. He didn't care what others said about her. He said it wasn't her fault that the other kids didn't want to play with her because he was her friend. His smile and the things he said to her, that's when Simone fell in love with him. And now she was standing near his house because she wanted to find out if Lily really lived in this house and what the relationship was between her and Christopher. The assistant opened the door for her and asked if the owner knew that guests were coming. Simone replied that she had just dropped in by chance. Lily heard someone come in and asked the assistant who was there. She was startled to see Simone Richards in the hall. The actress knew that Zach was right. The model asked Lily what the secretary was doing in her boss's house. The assistant apologized to the lady for letting the lady in without thinking. Simone was shocked that the assistant called Lily the hostess. Lily invited the girl to come over and sit down to chat, but the model stood her ground. She asked why the secretary was pretending to be the owner of this house. The girl assumed that Lily just wanted to take Christopher's money. At that moment, Chris approached them and asked Simone not to say anything stupid because Lily was his wife. The actress couldn't believe what was happening. Simone asked Chris why he said that. He showed her his engagement ring and said that they had been officially married for 5 years. The girl was shocked that they were not only living together, but also married. At that moment, Sandy ran to Lily and called her mother. Simone froze when she saw this girl. She looked a lot like Dean Venn, Chris's older brother. Christopher told Sandy to say hello. Hearing the girl's name, Simona understood everything. She said that it was time for her to go and quickly ran out of the house. On the street, she bumped into her sister. Simone asked Sarah what she was doing here. The girl admitted that she had come to see Sandy. Then Simone asked why she needed the secretary's daughter, Lily. Sarah told her sister that she had been to a shelter and was told that the child she had given birth to had been taken away by relatives 5 years ago. Simone asked what that meant, and Sarah said that Christopher and Lily's daughter was her child. Simone told her sister to shut up and not shout about it. Sarah saw that her sister was feeling unwell and suggested that she go home as soon as possible. Ben, who was watching them nearby, heard everything and understood what they were saying about Sandy. Simone Richards sat on her bed and cried, remembering that little girl who looked so much like Dean. She had previously thought that night had been a huge mistake. When her acting career was just starting to gain momentum, Simone found out that she was pregnant. The screen star decided to hide this fact from everyone and took a short break. Her sister Sarah kept trying to contact her, but Simone didn't answer. When Sarah couldn't take it anymore, She broke the combination lock on her door. Sarah saw her sister lying on the floor, covered in blood, and a child crying on the floor in a blanket. She quickly remembered what she had been taught in her first aid course. The girl helped her sister and her child, and Simone ordered Sarah to remain silent about what she had just seen, reminding her that she had not given birth to any child. Lily sat on the bed and couldn't sleep. She couldn't forget the look Simone had given Sandy. She thought that the girl hadn't expected Christopher to have a child. Was there another reason? Lily thought. Mom? Sandy suddenly startled her, running into her room. She asked why Mom wasn't sleeping with Dad. Then the girl ran to her dad and asked him why they weren't sleeping together in bed again. Sandy assumed they had had a fight and made them hug. After that, she sent them together to their room and closed the door, adding that she would come in the morning and check if they had slept together. Left alone in bed, the parents felt uncomfortable. Christopher leaned over Lily as if he wanted to kiss her. But then he said he just wanted to get rid of the mosquito that was on her head. The girl was a little upset that he had made such a joke, but they fell asleep together. In the morning, sitting in his office, Christopher thought back to the previous night and smiled. He was so lost in thought that he didn't even notice his assistant John approaching him. John told the director that a new cosmetics forum had sent him an invitation. They asked him to talk about the trends in the modern cosmetic beauty industry. Christopher agreed, but John added that he would not be able to accompany him because he already had another work assignment scheduled that day. So Lily will be going to this forum. Chris was surprised at first, but then he was happy that he and his wife would spend time together. John was happy for them too. Simone remembered how much the girl looked like Dean. She remembered the night she had been sitting at the bar drinking because she missed Chris. Then Dean had come up to her. The girl was so drunk that she thought she was seeing Christopher instead of his brother. She threw her arms around his neck and started kissing him. Dean didn't mind because he had liked Simone for a long time. And in the morning, the girl realized what she had done when she saw her brother Chris in bed next to her. After that, they never met again, and no one knew about the incident. But now Simone couldn't understand why the girl was living with Christopher and where Lily came from. Zach met Ben at the cafe, and Ben told him that Simone had come to Christopher's house a few days earlier. Zach remembered that Simone had wanted to clarify everything. Then Ben reported that he had seen the woman there again, who turned out to be the actress's sister, and had overheard a conversation between the sisters about Sandy being Simone's daughter. Zach was shocked by the news, but remembering that unexpected break in Simone's career, he realized that it was possible. He asked Ben if he knew anything about the child's father, and Ben said he didn't know yet, but he would continue to investigate. Zach thought this was getting more and more interesting. At the meeting, Christopher asked his subordinates how things were going with the city project. He was told that a competition was currently being held to design signs and posters. There were so many entries for the competition that there was a prize for the winner. Christopher asked the workers to carefully review each idea, not missing anything. When Lily found out about this competition for advertising men's grooming cosmetics, which promised $5 million for the winner, she realized that Christopher really valued this project. The girl was interested in the fact that the winner could be hired as a full-time employee of the company. Therefore, she decided to definitely take part in this competition. In the evening, Christopher, Lily, and Sandy looked at the photos they had already taken. The girl was pleased because everyone in the photos looked very beautiful. Then Sandy asked her parents how they met. Chris knew he couldn't tell her the whole truth, so he changed the story a bit. Dad said he was going to meet someone important and met Mom there. And that day, she helped him meet that person. Sandy demanded a sequel, and Chris said that he fell in love with her mother at first sight. And that's why he immediately decided that he wanted to marry her. Then the girl asked her mother how everything was. Lily remembered how she had been afraid of him at first, but later, when she saw his kind smile, she realized that he was a nice person. There was care for her and the child in his words and actions. His cold, emotionless face turned warm and kind. Lily told her daughter that she too fell in love at first sight, even before her dad. She added that she still likes her dad very much. Christopher looked at Lily and realized that she was nothing like the mothers he and his brother had. The day their mother left, he cried a lot, but the mother left without even looking back. Dean calmed his younger brother, and the father quickly found himself a new wife. The women changed one after another. They all only wanted their father's money, so they were kind to his children. But when they realized that they wouldn't get all the family's money, they simply ran away. Little Chris decided not to be like his father and never fall in love. But with Lily, everything was different from the very beginning. Even though it was a marriage for Sandy's sake, but Christopher decided that if she wanted to leave, he would tell his daughter that her mother had gone away to study, and gradually they would get used to living without her. But now he felt like he couldn't live without her. Chris's heart fluttered when he saw her. Sandy showed her the pictures and asked if her mother really looked beautiful in them. Dad said that of course it was. Christopher asked his daughter if she would let him and his mother go on an overnight business trip next week. Lily was very surprised by this news and asked what happened to John, who was supposed to accompany him. Chris replied that he had other work matters. Sandy told her parents that she would only let them go if they found the treasure she had hidden in 10 minutes. It said, "My treasure." It's also an item they'll see a lot around the house now. While Lily was searching for treasure, she found a box containing Christopher's boxing championship belt. And Chris found Sandy's treasure. It was their family photo. The girl said that their family is the greatest treasure for her. Lily hugged her daughter and cried, saying that their family was very precious to her too. Christopher looked at them and understood that this was indeed the case, and they could become a real family. At the office, John told Christopher that the launch date for the pallet project coincided with the launch date for the city project. Chris replied that Zach had been dragging his feet on this for a whole month. John confirmed his assumption and said that Zach Wen had specifically set this date for the launch of his project. The assistant reminded him that their project must definitely be successful, because they are just waiting to take his place. Christopher replied that he understood this, so he would do his best to make sure everything went smoothly. When John left the office, Chris took his brother's notebook out of the drawer and remembered that Dean had developed this project a long time ago. He wanted to popularize men's grooming cosmetics. Further in the notebook were notes about how he had to find his daughter. Sandy, 3 years old. First thing to do is check the city orphanage. Christopher reread these notes over and over again, and couldn't understand why his brother hadn't told him about it and was looking for the child himself. Chris couldn't understand why he had made it his secret. It was Lily's first time flying on a plane, and she was terribly scared. Chris laughed at her at first, but then decided to help her and advised her to look at him and imagine that they were at home on the couch. This helped the girl, and she liked looking at his beautiful face. So she completely stopped being afraid of flying and of the possibility of the plane crashing. When they arrived at the hotel, the front desk told them that the room was only booked for one person. Chris asked if he could book another room, but they were all taken. Lily realized that John's assistant had specifically booked the room for just one person. In fact, she was happy that she and Chris would have some time alone. She went to the bathroom and changed into her nightgown. Lily decided that Christopher would look at her differently in these underwear today. When the girl came out of the bathroom, Chris was sitting in a chair drinking wine, wondering if John had reserved a room for them. He saw Lily and quickly turned away. The girl asked Christopher to pour her a glass of wine too. The man poured the wine, but reminded her that tomorrow was an important day, so they had to be sober. Lily drank a glass of wine and quickly got drunk, although Chris warned that it could be like last time, at the meeting with her former boss. She first confessed to her husband that she liked him, and then fell asleep right in the chair. Christopher carefully carried his wife to the bed. When Lily woke up, it was morning, and Chris had called her to breakfast. The girl was angry with herself for missing such a chance to get closer to her husband. Lily had breakfast at the hotel for the first time, and she really enjoyed it. But she couldn't stop scolding herself for last night, because it was a good opportunity for them to get closer. Suddenly, the boy, whom those around him called a star, approached them and greeted Christopher, hugging him tightly as a friend. It was Paulo, the modern idol of many. He introduced himself to Lily as Christopher's friend and told her that they had previously practiced sports together, namely boxing. Then the girl understood where the championship belt came from. The guy sat down at the table with them and told Chris how he became famous. After Chris left, he auditioned, and now he's a star. Paulo noticed that Lily had gotten sauce all over her face and wiped it with a napkin. The girl said she could have done it herself, and Christopher was furious with his friend. When Christopher was on stage giving his speech about the beauty industry's connection to the growth of the entertainment industry, Lily looked at him and remembered how jealous he was of her. After the performance, they went for a walk on the beach. Christopher praised Lily for her good work, and she replied that he did it all himself. Then she decided to ask him about boxing, and Chris said that he had been doing it since the first grade of high school on the recommendation of a teacher. Lily admitted that she saw the championship belt at home while looking for Sandy's treasure. Chris said that he won it at a national competition, and then Lily asked him why he had reacted that way that morning to what Paulo had done. Christopher didn't know why he had been so angry then. The girl asked if he thought he was jealous of her. Fireworks started in the sky. Chris looked at Lily, who was staring at the sky in fascination, and said that he was. Lily couldn't believe it for a long time that Christopher had confessed his feelings to her, so she asked him again. When the man confirmed his words, the girl started screaming that he liked her. Lily then hugged Chris and confessed that she was happy. She said that she was very worried that her feelings were not mutual. Christopher apologized to the girl. He added that he didn't know he could like someone so much. Chris repeated again, looking Lily in the eyes, that he liked her and kissed her on the forehead. Sitting on the sand by the ocean, Lily asked her husband when he realized he liked her. Chris admitted that it was exactly as he had told Sandy from the first time they met. When Simone Richards was getting ready in the dressing room for a new role, an old acquaintance approached her and asked how she ended up here, as they hadn't seen each other in a long time. Simone replied that they only see each other on set. The girl left angry, thinking that this actress was again making a star out of herself and could not speak normally. The camera assistant told Simone that she should go into the room and pretend that it was the first time she saw the baby lying in the playpen. The actress replied that she would be able to handle it, especially since she and her friend had already worked together. But when Simone entered the frame and saw the child, she couldn't move. She remembered her newborn baby and couldn't go to the playpen. No matter how many times she was asked on set to continue filming, Simona left the filming pavilion. The girl simply ran away from the set, and her friend told the others that the rumors about her child no longer seemed so absurd. Everyone was shocked by her unprofessional behavior. Simone drove to the ballet school and sat in the car. She thought about what she had done 9 years ago. The girl believed that she had no other choice. When she saw Sandy, she got out of the car and walked over to her. The girl recognized her parents' friend, who had come to their house a few days earlier. Sandy said hello, and Simone asked the girl to go to a cafe with her to eat ice cream and chat. The girl wondered if she could go with her. After all, she is not a complete stranger because her parents know her well. Sandy really wanted ice cream, so she agreed to go away for a while, and then come back and go home. When Chris and Lily got off the plane at the airport, they received a call from the housekeeper telling them that Sandy was missing. She said she came to pick her up at the ballet school, but she wasn't there anymore, and her friends didn't know where she was. Kara called her phone, but he stayed at home. Lily dropped her phone in surprise, and Christopher asked what happened. Then the girl told him everything, and they went to the police station. Meanwhile, Sandy and Simone were sitting in a cafe. The girl was eating ice cream, and the actress was drinking a coffee. Simone decided to ask the girl about her mother, whether she was doing well with her. Sandy replied that her mother was the best and most beautiful in the whole world, and she loved her daughter more than anything, and she loved her mother. The girl was lucky to have such beautiful parents. Simone was angry that Lily had become so attached to her daughter. Suddenly, the girl asked the woman how to get on television, because she had seen it on TV. Then Simone was happy that now everything would turn out as she had planned. The actress suggested to the girl that they be secret friends. Then she would make sure that she was accepted on television. The woman reminded the girl that she shouldn't tell anyone about secret friends. Sandy agreed, said it was time for her to go home, and ran away. Secretary Mia begged her boss, Zach Wen, not to fire her. She said he promised not to do it because he knew how much she needed the money. Mia added that she was ready for anything. Zach said he wouldn't fire her if he won first place in the city project. The secretary promised to do everything possible and impossible to make this happen. Lily and Christopher searched for Sandy all around the ballet school and asked people if they had seen a girl like the one in the photo, but there were no results. After that, they went to the police and wrote a statement describing all the details. They were already scared that it could have been a kidnapping, but Kara called them. The assistant reported that Sandy had come home and her parents had quickly driven there. Lily hugged her daughter tightly and cried, and Christopher also hugged his own girls. Ben was sitting outside their house on his motorcycle. He told himself that he had waited for Sandy to get home so he could leave. He was worried that Simone was up to something. Sandy's parents explained that they couldn't do that because they were very worried and already thought she had been kidnapped. Kim asked if she had been there all this time. Sandy knew she couldn't talk about a secret friend, so she said her friend had bought her ice cream. Lily asked who that friend was. When Sandy said that this was her new friend, whom her mother didn't know yet, Lily was very surprised, because before that, she knew absolutely everything about her little girl. Zach handed Simone an envelope with money and said it was from Ben, who refused to work with her anymore. The actress was very angry with the man. She then asked Zach if he would help her get Christopher. The man replied that at first he thought Lily was lying about her husband, but now he can't do anything. Simone got angry and said that she wanted to separate them by any means, and if he didn't help, she would do it herself. Zach replied that she could do whatever she wanted, but he would no longer be involved. The girl got offended and left. Simone decided that she wasn't going to let it go so easily and approached Zach Ven's secretary, Mia. The model handed the girl an envelope with money and asked her to do something for her. The secretary was worried that she would get in trouble for this, but Simone assured her that everything would be fine. She just had to copy some files from her boss's computer and give them to her. Mia thought about it, and the actress said that if she didn't want to help her, she would make it so that she wouldn't have a choice, and the secretary agreed. Ben was waiting in line for an injection at the local hospital. When the nurse called him over, he was surprised to see Sarah, the sister of actress Simone Richards, again. When the girl recognized him, she was afraid that he was a maniac who was stalking her. Ben started coughing and said that he didn't have time for this, but wanted to leave. Sarah stopped him and said she would give him an injection. The girl asked how he knew that she was the first to start following Sandy. Ben didn't want to answer that question. He could have, but he didn't want this girl to know that her sister had hired him to spy on Christopher and his secretary. Simone decided she needed a new person to do the job, because Ben was Zach's man. She found the number and dialed it. The girl was determined to get Chris at any cost. While Sandy was walking to ballet school with her mother, Lily noticed someone was following them. She stopped and asked the man what he wanted. The man said he was a casting director for television and showed his business card. He added that they were looking for an actress for a child role in a series. Lily thought about it, and the man said that her daughter was very beautiful, so he would wait for their call at any time. They could also come to the company's office themselves. Simone's producer was furious with the young actress. He had specifically arranged for her to appear in the series to boost its ratings, and she ran away. The actress replied that she did not want to star in this project, and her husband said that she had no choice. The company replied that she had health problems, so now she has to pull herself together and continue working on this project. Simone left, saying that no one will force her to stay at home. At home, Sandy and her mother were watching TV. Lily wondered if Sandy would be able to find her biological mother if she started acting in TV series. She didn't know if that was a good thing or not. Suddenly, Simone Richards was on TV, and Sandy recognized her. She told her mom that she was her and Dad's friend, and she liked her so much. The girl said that she also wanted to be that beautiful and act in TV series so that they could show her on TV. Lily told her daughter that they would go to the casting if she wanted. When Christopher got home, they told him about Sandy's interest in television and acting. He said he should give it a try. At the casting, Sandy showed how she could show different emotions, how trained her memory was. When she showed the dance, Lily was surprised that the girl had prepared it herself. The producer and the cameraman were amazed by her abilities, and both said that the girl had a natural talent for acting. They were promised a role in the series. As they happily left the office center, Sandy told her mother that she was running quickly to the bathroom. Ben, who had been watching them, wondered what they were doing there. Suddenly, a motorcycle appeared out of nowhere, coming straight at Lily at high speed. Sandy saw it and ran to her mother. Ben rushed to the girl and grabbed her. The motorcycle drove on, and a terrified Lily thanked the man for saving her daughter. The man replied that he simply could not have done otherwise. Lily offered to go with him to the hospital because he had an injured arm. Ben agreed because the girl wouldn't leave him alone. At the hospital, Lily told the doctor everything about the accident and how this man had saved her child. The doctor said it was just a big bruise on her arm and prescribed an ointment. Ben wondered why the motorcyclist had specifically targeted Lily and Sandy. He was scared of what Simone was up to, and he didn't know what else she was capable of. He asked Lily how Sandy was doing. She said that, thanks to him, everything was fine, and the girl was a little scared. Ben said that he was glad that everything was fine. During this conversation, Sarah, who worked as a nurse at the hospital, saw them. She couldn't understand how these three people ended up together. When Ben had moved away, Sarah asked what he was doing there. The man replied that he knew what it looked like, but in reality, he was just helping Sandy out of a dangerous situation. Sarah asked excitedly what had happened and if Sandy was okay. Ben thought she really didn't know what her sister was up to and told her about the motorcycle. The girl replied that it was good that Sandy was okay, but she was also worried about his well-being. Ben looked at the girl and thought she was very pretty. At home, over dinner, Lily told Chris about the incident and their savior, and also about Sandy being cast in a series that would soon begin filming. Christopher said it was good that everything worked out and praised his daughter for her efforts. He looked at Sandy and couldn't believe that she was so grown up. Simone Richards received a call from her husband, who said the task had failed because the girl jumped in front of the motorcycle. The actress was very angry and said that the child should not be touched. The man said that he did so, but added that he would go to the police and tell them that she wanted to kill a person. To prevent him from doing this and handing over the recordings of her voice to the police, she must pay him 3 times more than she has already given, as before, to the safe deposit box. Simone agreed, but on the condition that he would see the matter through to the end. The man agreed and said that he would wait for her money. The girl thought only about how to get Christopher. Lily was discussing in the office with her friend Max how to win the city project. The girl suggested using a popular blogger to advertise the project. Lily also suggested advertising the project on television with the help of real actors. They should audition right in their office. Max replied that this was a great idea and that she would definitely win the competition and be hired as a permanent employee of the company. Sandy cried and begged her mother not to leave. The woman said that now the girl would live with her grandmother. The child struggled, and the grandmother held her when her mother left. Lily watched her daughter's work on the set and was amazed by her talent, because Sandy had never studied to be an actress. The other actors praised the girl for her good work, and Sandy ran to her mother during the break. Lily told her daughter that she was doing well, and the girl said that she was very sad. She asked her mother to never leave her. Lily told her daughter that she could never leave her, so she didn't have to worry about it. Secretary Mia brought Simone a flash drive and said it had all the information from Zach Ven's computer on it. Simone was glad that now he would be held accountable for not wanting to help her. Lily couldn't believe that she had won first place in the competition. Her friend Zach's secretary, Wen Mia, came in second place. Assistant John congratulated the girl on her victory. John told Christopher that his wife had won his competition for the best design for the project City. Chris asked John if he knew she was participating. The assistant replied that she asked not to tell him so that she would be judged like everyone else. Chris remembered how Lily had been busy all the time and was glad that she had won. Simone saw a TV series starring Sandy on TV and didn't understand when she had made her debut. She wondered why her daughter looked so much like her. Ben approached Zach at the bar and said that he accidentally exposed himself, so he was dropping the investigation. Zach said that he did a good job and that he didn't need to do anything else. Zach handed him an envelope with money, but Ben refused. He said he didn't want to do that anymore, but Zach insisted that the guy take the money. He added that it was the anniversary of his sister's death. Ben asked how he remembered it. Zach replied that he couldn't forget because that was the day they met. 5 years ago, Zach drove into a gas station and saw a guy beat up a man. From the look in his eyes, Zach understood something that was hard to explain in words. Ben was under investigation for his statement, and Zach learned the details of the case because he was there as a witness. Ben's younger sister worked at that gas station. After she was in a terrible accident at work, the girl committed suicide. Ben himself found the people who were responsible for the accident and decided to figure it out. That's how he ended up behind bars. 4 years later, Ben met a guy who worked on a construction site and accidentally damaged his car. The guy said he would definitely give the money to repair the car. Zach immediately recognized him and replied that it would be enough if he completed a few of his errands. Zach looked at Ben at the bar and remembered how he had thought he was weird at first. But not now. Ben said he wanted to live for himself now, said goodbye to Zach, and left. Ben stood in front of the cell containing his sister Catherine's ashes and told her about Sandy. She seemed to him very much like his sister. Catherine cared for injured and traumatized animals and acted in school plays, just as Sandy did on television. Ben told his sister that it was because of this girl that he decided to live for himself. Sandy was very happy just walking around the shops with her parents. The girl remembered the last time they did this, and she dressed everyone in pink. Lily also remembered that beautiful day and said that today they could choose whatever they wanted because she had won the competition and was given a cash prize. Sandy ran to choose outfits, and Christopher took Lily's hand, and they went to the store. Ben, who happened to be in this shopping center by chance, was choosing new clothes for himself. Seeing the happy family, Ben was very happy for them. Christopher saw the man looking at them, and for a moment he thought they were being spied on. The next day, Ben met Sandy after ballet school. The girl told him that he looked great in his new stylish look. Ben thanked her and said he had to move to another city, so he came to say goodbye. Sandy hugged him because she didn't want to say goodbye. The man gave her the hair ornament she hadn't taken before and said that now they were acquaintances, so she could accept it. Sandy thanked Ben for the ornament and for saving her. Ben asked her to stay as sweet as she was, to grow up happy and healthy, and to obey her mother. Christopher, who came to pick up Sandy, asked his daughter who the man was. The girl replied that it was Uncle Ben, who had saved her from the motorcycle. Chris shook his hand and thanked him for saving his daughter. But in reality, his father's heart was in the wrong place because this man was always where Sandy was. Sitting in his office, Christopher continued to think about it. He called his assistant John and asked him to find out everything about this Ben. Sarah kept checking in on Simone, but she hadn't eaten anything in 2 days, just lying in bed and looking at her phone. The actress read news about herself and cried. The sister sat down next to Simone on the bed and suggested that she do something. For example, tell everyone that Sandy was her daughter. But Simone wanted to make sure that everyone found out about it themselves. Patricia Wen was sitting on the roof terrace of her office, waiting for someone. John approached the woman and asked why she had called him. She simply asked how he was doing. John reminded the woman that they were at work and should not discuss personal matters. But Patricia asked him to sit next to her and handed her husband a coffee. The woman looked at the huge, thick green tree and reminded John of how they had secretly met here long ago and looked at him. The man replied that he didn't want to remember anything, so he would leave and continue working. Patricia grabbed his hand and asked him to listen to her. John said he would listen if she had something to say, as the CEO of the company. The woman said she simply had no choice at the time. She admitted that she had regretted her whole life that she had chosen another man. But it was her father's fault. He had forced her to do it. And when she had the opportunity to leave, the woman was already pregnant with a son. John replied that it didn't matter anymore, and Patricia said that she had divorced a long time ago because she couldn't forget her first love. The husband wouldn't listen to her, so Patricia said she wanted John to own the entire V Cosmetics company. John asked what she was saying, and the woman admitted that she knows that it was he who rebuilt the company that was collapsing in front of everyone, not Dean. Therefore, he deserves it. John told Christopher that the man's name was Ben Nex. He currently worked in construction and had a previous conviction for assault. He had a younger sister who committed suicide after a terrible accident. Ben decided to investigate on his own because the perpetrator had not been punished by the court. He was also spotted with Zach Venn. Christopher wondered, because this meant that Zach had known about Sandy for a long time, since he had been following her. Christopher thanked the assistant for his work and said he was promoting him to CEO of the company. John was very surprised and asked why so suddenly. Chris told the man that he couldn't sit in the office all his life, and John replied that the deputy director couldn't sit idly by either. And Christopher said that this had to be done because Patricia Wen was serious about fighting for the director's position, so they needed to build up their strength. John replied that he needed some time to think about it. Christopher apologized and added that it hadn't even occurred to him that he might disagree. The director also added that he would find someone to help him with his work, regardless of what decision he made. After all, he had been doing everything alone for a long time. John said goodbye to Lily and said that although it was a good event, he still didn't want to leave. The girl thanked him for everything John had taught her and told him that he had to move on. Lily's former colleague, Secretary Mia, came to the reception with her office supplies. She said that from that day on, she would be working in the director's secretariat. Lily congratulated her friend on her promotion, and Mia congratulated Lily on winning the competition. Mia then congratulated John on his promotion and took his job. Zach ordered Mia to obtain classified information on the city project while she was working there. Mia knew this was her last chance, but she wouldn't let it go. The employment center tried to find Ben a job, but apart from having a driver's license, he didn't have any of the skills needed for an office worker. The employment center employee said that one company responded to his resume. It was a very well-known cosmetics company whose products everyone must have. They needed a secretary driver for the company director's office. Ben asked what the company was called, and upon hearing the name, he realized that it was the company where Zach and other people he knew worked. He was about to turn down the job, but the employment center employee reminded him that it was a great stroke of luck that such a well-known company had chosen him based on his resume. The man recommended that Ben think carefully and go for an interview. But before that, it would be advisable to cover up the scar on his face, because first impressions are very important. Ben was walking down the street and saw a cosmetics store. He hadn't personally cared about the scar on his face for a long time, but he needed to cover it up, so he decided to do something about it. When he entered the store, he didn't know what he wanted. Ben was about to leave when someone called out to him. It was her again. This girl kept coming into his eyes. Sarah was so happy to see him again. She asked Ben how he was doing and apologized for not being so clear last time. The girl said that her colleagues explained everything to her about him saving Sandy. Ben said that everything was fine, and Sarah asked what he was doing here. She assumed he wanted to buy something to treat the wound on his arm. But Ben reassured her, adding that the wound had long since healed. The man asked Sarah for help finding a product to cover up a scar on his face. The girl recommended a concealer and demonstrated its effect on a bruise on his arm. Sarah said that you just need to apply a little foundation on the scar or bruise, and it will be invisible. Ben looked at his hand and was really pleased with the result. As she approached the office building, Lily called out to the guy walking in front of her. She asked if he was the famous blogger, Bling Black. When the guy came back and took off his glasses, she realized it was her friend Max, who worked in the same office as her. He said she had declassified him. Lily gave a presentation to her colleagues and the director. She said that what they wanted to achieve with the ad was to bring a fresh twist to the already familiar V Cosmetics products, and, if they choose a celebrity, to promote a major product as a model, it should be someone with a fresh image to convey the concept of a modern city. Lily reported to CEO Christopher Wen that they had found the most effective way to promote their products through popular makeup blogger Bling Black. When Christopher met this blogger, he immediately asked him if they had met before. The guy took off his glasses and told the director that he worked at their library during the day. Secretary Mia brought Zach a flash drive with secret data from the city project, which included its marketing strategy and even an ingredient analysis table. Zach smiled and said that was very good. The girl asked if he would keep his promise. The man replied that she would soon be included in the company's main staff. He added that she should continue to work hard, and then she would get what she wanted. Leaving the office, Mia was happy that in this way she would achieve what she had been planning for so long. Zach carefully reviewed the documents and marketing plan for the city project and realized that Christopher wanted to advertise the product using the model. He thought that if his cousin had it all so smoothly, it wouldn't be interesting. Zach called a reporter he knew and asked him for a favor. Christopher and Lily were sitting at the ballet school concert, watching Sandy perform. Lily saw Chris being proud of his daughter and was happy and proud of her family. Lily's phone rang and she answered it quietly. A female voice told her that they needed to meet and talk, but without Christopher knowing. When they met at the cafe, Simone gave Lily an envelope and said it was important. Lily opened the envelope and saw the results of a DNA test, which confirmed that Simone was Sandy's mother. Lily said that this couldn't be, and Simone fell to her knees on the floor and said that she understood that it was too late, but she would like to be a good mother to Sandy. Shocked, Lily asked the girl why she didn't tell her about it the last time they saw each other. Simone replied that she had found out herself that Sandy was her daughter. The actress started crying and talking about how she didn't give up her child, but her sister took her to the orphanage. And then, when she wanted to pick up her daughter, she was told that she had already been taken. Lily asked the girl to get up from the floor and said that it was good that Sandy's biological mother had been found. Lily had been thinking about this meeting all the time, but she didn't want it to happen. Simone said Lily was afraid of the press finding out about it, and then the whole city. The model psychologically pressured Lily and said that because of her, Sandy and Christopher would not be happy. Therefore, all she wants is to raise her own daughter. Simone said it was time for Lily to leave Sandy. Lily replied that she didn't know how accurate the test was, so she would check it out herself and then decide what to do. The actress replied that she wouldn't wait long, so she gave her a week. Otherwise, she would come to Sandy herself and tell her everything. And she added that because of Lily's selfishness, everyone would suffer. A few days later, Lily sat on her bed crying. The DNA test had come back positive, and now she didn't know how she could leave Sandy and Chris. Lily cooked the most delicious dinner for her family, surprising both Sandy and Christopher. She said that today they were celebrating their family's birthday. Then she kissed the sleeping Sandy and apologized to her for not keeping her promise to never leave her. Lily took one last look at their photo together and left the house. In the morning, Christopher and Sandy looked everywhere for their mother, but she was nowhere to be found. Dad told Sandy that she must have left for work early, although he knew that this had never happened before. Assistant John told Christopher that Lily had brought him a resignation letter this morning. Chris tried to call her several times, but her phone was off. Suddenly, Christopher overheard the staff discussing the fact that he had a wife. John said it was because of an article about his upcoming wedding to actress Simone Richards. He showed an article on the tablet that said the CEO of V Cosmetics was already married and had a child. John added that the article had been removed, but the rumors could not be stopped. Christopher asked John to write a rebuttal to the article as soon as possible and asked if Lily had seen the article. The assistant replied that most likely not. The producer yelled at Simone for getting into another scandal. He scolded the girl for courting a married man. The girl was outraged that everyone was cooking up an article for someone, and not for her. The producer said that it would be very bad for her reputation if she destroyed the family of a fairly famous man. Zach was sitting in his office, happy that the article had come out just in time. Suddenly, Simone burst in and started accusing him of publishing the article. The man asked the girl if that's what she wanted Chris to be, and added that she used to let him do it himself. Simone said she wouldn't leave it like that. As soon as Christopher entered the house, he immediately asked Kara if Lily had returned. Then, he entered his office and saw the divorce papers on the table. He realized that the girl had planned her escape in advance and had signed all the divorce papers. Christopher believed that she was not like his stepmother's, but apparently in vain. Christopher confessed to John that he didn't tell Sandy that her mother had left her because he didn't want to leave her with the same hurt he had. John replied that Lily was a good person, so she would definitely come back. Chris was sad that he had no idea where to look for her, because he knew nothing about Lily. John reminded him of the shelter, and the man decided to visit it tomorrow. When Christopher returned home, he heard Sandy playing with someone and was glad that Lily had returned. But when he saw Simone with Sandy, he was very sad. Sandy told her dad that she was drawing with his TV friend. The man asked Simone what she was doing there. The actress said that she had come to see Lily for this article. The girl told the model that her mother was going on a business trip for 10 days. Simone realized that the girl had taken her advice and left them. The man asked his daughter to go to her room and stay there so the adults could talk. Christopher asked Simone if she had published the article. The actress swore that it wasn't her, and that the article was a huge blow to her career. She added that her office had already issued a rebuttal to the article. Christopher demanded that Simone apologize to Lily when she returned and never come to his house again. The girl agreed and surrendered. Simone was very offended that she had come to him to apologize, and he had become even colder towards her. She wanted to tell him everything about the child, but nothing came of it. Lily sat on a park bench and knew she had nowhere to go. If she went to the shelter, Christopher would find her quickly. She turned off her phone and just stared at the sky. When the girl saw the plane, she immediately cried. For the first time, she flew with Christopher to Jeju Island, where he confessed his feelings to her. Lily cried and scolded herself for being emotional. The girl decided to go to Jeju Island. There, no one would find her, and she could reboot a bit. Patricia asked John if he had thought well. The woman said that Christopher had nothing to do with him. John replied that she was wrong. She added that he would remain in his office forever. Patricia thought it was only a matter of time before John would accept her tempting offer. When Christopher visited the director of the shelter, Rowe told him that Lily often visited there and helped the children. The man was surprised because he did not know about this. He asked if she had been in recently. The manager said that Lily had stopped by a few days ago and said she was going out of town for a while. Christopher realized that Lily had planned everything for a long time. The man asked the woman to let him know if she showed up. This was his last hope. Lily looked out at the ocean and cried, remembering Christopher and Sandy again. She wiped her tears and decided to be strong for their happiness. Sitting in the car, Chris wondered where Lily could have gone. His thoughts were interrupted by John showing him an article on his tablet that had caused the company's stock to drop 5%. It said that many harmful ingredients had been found in their cosmetics. John said that an emergency meeting of the directors should be called. Christopher didn't understand where this data came from, because their cosmetics, of course, did not contain an excess of harmful components. Therefore, he was sure that someone had faked it. At the emergency meeting of the directors, Christopher greeted everyone and began his speech by apologizing for causing concern due to the false article about harmful ingredients. He added that the company is currently rechecking the composition of cosmetics from the City project for the presence of harmful components. The director reported that they had taken random samples and contacted the laboratory and the Ministry of Drug Safety to further check all components. In addition, a thorough internal investigation is being conducted to determine whether an error was made during the cosmetics manufacturing process at the factory. Christopher Wen added that, as the company's CEO, he takes full responsibility for this situation and will definitely report all the results of the investigation. In the office, John apologized to Christopher and said he should have been more careful. The director reassured the man that it was not his fault. Christopher wondered who could have done it. It seemed to him that the answer lay on the surface, and John knew for sure that there was only one person who could do it.